Welcome back to JKMoto Podcast, a weekly motorcycle podcast for the everyday rider, covering current bike and racing news, specializing in track days, club racing, snow, ice, cold weather, and great entertainment. We truly do it all. This week, we are brought to you by Working Class Customs, which is a custom fabrication shop out of northern Utah, and you can send any more questions you might have on that over to Cole.
And I'm Cole.
That's Cole. I'm Easton. We are your two favorite hosts of your favorite weekly motorcycle podcast. Why did I bring up rain and snow and ice and...
I don't know what you're talking about. It's the middle of summer now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is like May. You know, it was 90 degrees here this week.
90?
Yeah, with rain. Like 90 and raining actively at the same time. A wet rain, not a dry rain.
I'm not sure we're ever going to see 90s again. I'm sure we will. In a couple weeks, I'll be like, it's hot. But for right now, again, on the Weather Channel here.
Yeah.
We, I think we're getting 31 tonight.
Well, if you're cold, they're cold. Bring them inside.
So my bikes are inside.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
They got parked right side by side.
Mm-hmm.
Under the heater.
Okay.
Because it is cold enough here that the water that is in the radiators for racing will absolutely freeze if left in an unheated environment. Therefore, there's two reasons.
Yeah.
They're side by side because the old bike is having a serious conversation with the new bike. And we'll get into that after the intro.
All right. Well, let's roll an intro and looking forward to it.
Yesterday at one point, I was in sick. Miles an hour. And we're back.
We're back.
Oh, for those that waited through the intro, do you want to hear the rest of that story?
I do. Do you want to get into that now, or do we want to slang a... We get a sweet rider tip this week I'm pretty excited about.
All right. That's more important. Let's do that.
With it being racing season and warm and sunny and everyone's having a great time and bikes are sticking to the pavement super well. They're not even like falling over right as soon as they get on the pits or anything like that. None of that is happening. Random white Ducati. I don't know. Anyway, we have your weekly rider tip brought to you this week, once again, by Bittinger Motorsports. They operate out of MSRH. We'll go ahead and get into the tip, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about them afterward. But this week's tip from Josh Bittinger is to do the no-brake drill. The no-brake drill. Go out for a session and turn some laps without touching the brakes. Now, preface. Cover the brakes, of course, just in case you need them. All right. This is a powerful tool used by many schools and coaches across the country. By riding with no brakes, you will immediately slow down, I hope. And lap by lap, you will learn to roll into corners faster and faster. Taking brakes out of the equation and slowing down frees up mental capacity to work on all the other aspects of riding. After several laps, most riders find that they can get around the track fairly well without depending on the brakes. And then your next session out, you can use the brakes again. Most riders will find this eye-opening and drop several seconds immediately. And as an added bonus, if you ever lose brake function, the situation won't seem so scary. So that, once again, is your weekly rider tip. That is brought to you by Bittinger Motorsports. Josh Bittinger, he's a rider coach, works with Ride Smart down in MSRH and all over I'd say southeastern Texas. Go check him out. We'll have links in the description, but I thought that was a pretty sweet riding tip. Some good function to it. We're losing Cole.
We're having camera malfunctions. It must be frozen.
Yeah, maybe it just wasn't ready for the cold.
You notice I'm wearing a jacket today.
You are. Yeah, I mean, like I put on I'll be honest, I put on some warmer pants, but that's because I ate an ice cream bar and my AC kicks on at night to cool it down so I can sleep better. But anyway, past the weather, back to the rider tip. I think, Josh, thank you, because I want to go try that. because I do know that for me, 100%, one of my biggest issues is that I just don't go fast enough. Uh, which is like seems like such a dumb and wide broad whatever thing to say, but it's 100% true. I definitely come into turns and I slow down and slow down and slow down. And a lot of that is vision. I know a lot of times I'll catch myself staring in the middle of the turn rather than looking through it. And if I can force myself to look up and over, that'll help me with that, or at least it has in the past. But I could see how staying off the brakes, obviously your first lap's going to be slow because you're not going to have brakes. And so you're going to be like, "Wah." But as you start to bring up your speed, you force yourself to not use them. I could see how that could help you out.
I can see how I can help you out. I have thoughts on this. Of course, I have
Okay.
thoughts on this.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think I do that drill on the cool down lap after a race every time.
Okay. On purpose or on accident?
Just because, well, not on purpose, on accident, but not on accident. After a race, maybe a little winded, a little gassed, recollecting your thoughts. You know, you're not on a speed lap, you're just getting off the track so the next round can get out there and go,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of in cruise mode. But as you were saying that, I was just thinking about, don't know that you sure aren't trail breaking.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Just kind of riding around the track, letting it flow through. But I don't know that I've ever consciously thought about that. I think that would be a good drill, uh, especially for new to track day riders to kind of get your bearing, get your feelings.
Yeah, that's kind of where I placed in my head was just new, or maybe you're stuck in a rut. You kind of plateaued. You're just chilling. Go out, send in no brakes for a little bit. See if there's any more speed in that corner that you didn't know was there because you're too busy scrubbing it off before you get there. I don't know.
As
But
fast as some of the guys were out on the track this weekend, I'm pretty sure they don't know where the brakes are anyway. They might have taken them off and left them in the paddock.
well, when you don't have ABS and the track is iced over, maybe your brakes aren't the best thing anyway. So
Fair, fair. You gonna keep making hints about my snow day all day or what?
yeah, I mean, like naturally, based off of you riding with USBA and other people that we know riding with USBA, I get a lot of my social media is taken up by that, and you guys had quite the eventful weekend, so I saw a lot of that.
And
So
I do believe the gentleman on the Ducati was already picked on enough by the USBA. I hope they got a sign off before they went ahead and randomly posted his most embarrassing moments.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, like I zero fault to that guy. I've been there, not on a motorcycle, but I've been there I went mountain biking once on a iced over trail, and as soon as you try to change direction or anything, it's over. It's gone, right? And so,
Now, let's not go that far. There were 8 other bikes that went through there just fine.
see, now
I
you're
didn't
being rude.
Well, now I'm being rude, but I didn't talk to the gentleman. For those that want to know what we're talking about, go check out the Utah SBA Instagram page, and they've posted it in multiple places. We had a race that was in the rain, but it was 30 degrees. It was in the very low 30s. The rain was definitely a rain snow mix. You know, as the rain tires were being put on in the paddock, we were
Hey,
all,
it's a good thing you bought those, huh?
I didn't get to use them.
Hey, before we get too deep, I do want to we got to close out that rider tip. So I did want to say thank you, Josh. Once again, if you haven't checked him out, go check out Benninger Motorsports. Link will be down in the description. Sorry, we just got to kind of close that up before we dive into this wet weekend in the middle of
Sheesh.
Utah.
Your ADHD's working up.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. It was funny to me though. So in the paddock, I was trying to paint a picture.
Mm-hmm.
In the paddock,
Mm-hmm.
Utah SBA Sunday qualifying's done. We've waited all weekend for the race of the weekend, the king of the mountain, the premier race.
Yeah.
Bikes are getting warmed up. Oh, let me back up a little bit. 30 minutes out to race time. I'm
Yeah.
having a conversation with somebody.
Who's got the ADHD?
No, this is a completely different disorder.
Okay.
30
30
minutes,
minutes out. All right.
30 minutes out. I'm talking to somebody. It's cold. It's been cold all day. Started at 40.
Mm-hmm.
Started at
Okay.
40, but the temperatures are dropping. I'm talking to somebody and I keep catching something like in my eyes. And I can't figure out what it is. And I realize I can see my breath. We went from not being able to see my breath to all of a sudden, you can see your breath.
Mm-hmm.
It starts sprinkling. The sprinkle starts to increase. And then it changes over to a slush rain mix.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a championship on the line. There's points on the line. There's purse money on the line. The
This is
riders.
round. This is round one. Right.
This
First
is
round.
round one. The gladiators, the king of the mountain riders, with the cojones to do it, have their bikes warming up. It's just nothing but smoke coming out of the exhaust. What is that? Condensation, steam, whatever. It's freezing out there. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's low 30s and getting colder. The bikes are running. The guys are trying to put tire warmers on, rain tires, get them switched over. The jokes are flying. Maybe you should put studs in them, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And a grid that should have been 15, 6 pull out. The real men of the group.
Do we get to know who they are? I want names.
Our team was there.
All right. That's what's important.
The important part is our guys were there, representing out of Las Vegas, Nevada,
Well, which is no cold spot.
which is no cold spot. These guys aren't used to this. Anthony Lugnut Norton, he pulls out. Johnny from Vegas, Johnny pulls out. They're going. They're serious. They're not gonna get behind. They're not gonna let a little snow stop them.
Yeah. I
so
wouldn't either. Definitely not.
so the siding lap has not started yet. They pull out. I happened to mention to Anthony, I said, Anthony, you don't have to win. And he looked at me and he said, that is the stupidest thing you have ever said to me. And he meant it and he hurt my feelings. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope he finds a way to make up for that. But they pull out. There's a little staging area, that's third call to come out on track. They pull up to the staging area. Guy pulls the red flag, puts the green out. It's time to enter the track for the siding lap. And that Ducati was the first to enter. And I think it's habit. I really think it's habit. I've entered that track a million times from right there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you pull up and then it's time to go and you kind of roll out and you go around the corner and you hit the first burp, maybe check the brakes.
Yeah.
He just went burp. And that was right behind me, coincidentally. I was headed to the pit wall and I was standing the camera, the video that's going around to that. I'm like 20 feet off camera or whatever.
Okay.
And I had just turned around because they were sending them out. I had just turned around and that guy just
Yeah. Poor guy.
poor guy puts his bike down.
I mean, if you watch the video, like what was he gonna do? Honestly, like, yeah, he could have not whoop, but it
Well,
didn't even
I think the
necessarily look
whoop
like it
was
was
the
from
problem.
that. Yeah,
He shouldn't
probably,
he shouldn't have whooped.
but like,
But I think it's a little bit of habit for
yeah,
one.
yeah,
But he put it down. The poor guy went to pick it up and the bike was still running. So the rear tire was spinning, still in gear. He started to pick it up and the tire's like catching and it's trying to drive away and he had to stop and think, reach up, shut it off, pick it up. But the next guy on track, I think was Mr. Mosley, but he pulled out there and kind of looked over and was like, "What? What is going on out here? Haven't seen this before."
this is pit entry. Why are we?
And
Yeah,
then they all head out. They all head out to do the siding lap. We have another crash on the siding lap. Somebody goes down. They red flag it. All the bikes come in, and all you can hear is Anthony down there. We're supposed to race. Let's go. But for the safety of the riders, the USBA decided after seeing two of their top tier riders go down, you know, one on the siding lap and one before he got to the siding lap. They decided that was let's just call it. They did. I think in the end they probably made the right decision, no matter how bad some of those guys still wanted to go give her a try. And then we immediately had a writers meeting after that, and they canceled the rest of the day. And I'll
Okay.
tell you, being here in Utah, they made the right decision because I chose to pack up after that, got out of there a little earlier than anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I drove home in a torrential blizzard.
Hmm.
Rain,
See,
snow, it was sleeting off the front of the trailer. It's May 5th.
yeah. So I got a couple issues. Not actually. Good call, USBA. Proud of you guys for making that call. Good job. I think that was the right call, like you said. If you're anywhere near freezing temperatures, that's a little different. Rubber and ice don't mix, right? It's one thing in the rain. It would be awfully strange in the snow. That's my only like issue, which is very fake, and I don't actually mean this, but it would be such a classic Utah thing to be like, yeah, first round of USBA is always in the snow. What do you guys don't race in the snow? And then I'm only curious how our you met a couple people up in Alaska a long time ago. If it feels like it wasn't that long, but it feels like a long time ago now. I'm curious how they feel about it, if they have any experience on it. I don't know if they still listen or not, but we get a chime in from Alaska. Have you guys seen any snow up there? And any older or been around a while USBA guys, just because that's like once again such a classic Utah. You thought it was summer, not yet. Here you go. Here's your last snowstorm of the year in June or May, July, whatever it might be. Has that ever happened before? Have we ever seen motorcycles out racing in the snow? So those are my big questions. But
Well, I can say I was talking to Johnny, who was one of the ones that went out on the grid. I
mhm.
was talking to him afterwards, and I said, "Hey, man, if I ever catch you telling somebody you raced in the snow, trying to brag, I'll back you up because you were gonna. You headed out there, you was gonna do it.
He
So
did the
I'll give
sighting
you.
lap, right? So
Yeah, he got a siding lap done. So I said I'll give you the props. But as I was telling him that, Ian from Trackstar, the Dunlop dealer
mhm.
in Utah, was standing there, and he, he turned to me and he goes, "I've done it. I've done it." And he started telling me about years ago. He said there was a snowstorm came, but it was only hitting two corners.
Okay.
And he said it was literally they had already started the race, and then it started snowing and was actually sticking to the track. And he said they kept going. They were just trying to stay inside and avoid the snow in those corners.
Okay.
So it has happened. So
I
like
mean,
you said,
that's awesome. Yeah, it's such a classic Utah move right there. Like, I mean, and it's not just Utah. Like the people in Utah. That's kind of what I lived in Utah for a long time, and that's just what I remember doing. I didn't race motorcycles in high school, but I played lacrosse, and we had this whole like tournament every March, and it was rare that it didn't snow. And we're from up north, so we're used to it. And all these other people, you'd go have to get a bunch of orange lacrosse balls just so you could see them. And people are out there like through 6 inches of snow. Like where anyway. So I can only imagine there's got to be plenty of stories out there. If you got a better snow story for us about racing, club racing, track days, whatever it might be in the snow, somewhere other than Utah. Also, kind of curious if anyone can beat that. Maybe our UP people, all those great. Not to bring up the maple syrup and hockey again, but
oh come on. So don't get it twisted though. It was a great weekend of racing.
well, yeah. So how did we got the snow out of the way? The Ducati, all that story. Sorry about your bike. Hope it turns out all right. All that's out of the way. How was Saturday? How was I seen a picture with you in this giant, huge freaking piece of paper with a not so giant number on it, but a pretty decent sized number.
Yeah, I got the big Happy Gilmore check. I was trying to put it in my beater car so I could haul it down to the bank to cash it, but they wouldn't let me keep it.
They want to let you keep the actual giant poster thing.
No,
Man, that's a bummer.
that is a bummer, but I'll have to give me another one next time. Round one, USBA. First, we're back to 2 day racing. So that was my first experience with 2 day racing, at least with USBA.
Hmm.
Of course, as mentioned, Sunday got cut short, but it's
Yeah,
all right.
kind of a hard judge, maybe, or is it still pretty? easy to tell how it's going to be.
I think we got it figured out how it's going to be. I got opinions, but I'll keep I'll,
Okay.
I'll, I'll keep all those to myself for now. So went there Friday to do the track day.
Mm-hmm.
So did the track day the day before, tested a few more things. Really kick back casual day, saving as much energy as this old body could for the next day.
Yep.
But Saturday we kicked off racing, and let's just say I'm super excited for the year. We didn't have we didn't have record numbers. You know, we weren't rivaling the CVMA by any means.
Mm-hmm.
We had pretty good attendance figures. The grids were quite full.
Okay.
The competition was really good in all the classes I raced. Was It was really interesting. You know, you go through an off season and you think you know who you'll be racing,
Mm-hmm.
and then people show up, people you never seen before, and all of a sudden now that guy's fast, and now I thought I was only going to have to worry about these guys, but there's those guys, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. 100%.
you know, when you're going for championships, and you know, if that's what's important to you, it's it's interesting because that first week you kind of I get it now. I see you start to see where you stack up, who the competition's going to be. A lot of things change throughout a year, but once you start laying down a couple points races, it's harder for somebody to just step in after if they're just show up at that point, right?
Right.
So groundwork's being laid. I'm tickled, man. I had some fantastic races, very competitive. You know, one in particular, you know, we were 5 bikes deep, stuck tire to tire for the entirety of the race, multiple passes, lead changes. I wish I would have put the pill in the helmet because there was some good stuff. Good stuff. I really enjoyed it. But my earlier comment, I told you my bikes are having a discussion out there in the shop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So just in case we got new listeners, I know most of you know us and know the stories, but you got a 2010, a 2022. The 2022 is the main race bike, and the 2010s for the one class, correct?
For the one class and potentially a backup if something was to go wrong.
Right. And
So
and you had mentioned a rain bike, maybe.
yeah,
Any
so
more thoughts on that?
we had that discussion last week. I thought a lot about what you said. So to catch people up if they didn't hear before, Easton was questioning why I would make the 2010 a rain bike when you have so much better electronics on a 22.
This is true. I did.
And the fact of the matter is, I don't want to crash the new one as bad as I. It would hurt my feelings less to crash the old one than it would to crash the new one at this point. That's the
So,
truth.
all right. Yeah.
So situations change, you know, on race day. We're watching the weather. I don't have an extra set of wheels at this point for the 22.
Okay.
So we got rain tires. Is it going to be rain? Is it not going to be rain? We don't know. We do practices. There's weather all around. It's swirling. You didn't know when it was going to start raining. I had that
Yeah.
first.
I haven't spent a whole lot of time out there, but I do just want to. Sorry, not to cut you off, but Tooele Valley is it's kind of wild. This is big, huge, open, flat valley, but it's a valley, so you got mountains on all sides, and it's like if the weather comes in, it's gonna come in, but it also just sit way out over there and just kind of like
Yeah, it could just rain on the mountains and miss you.
yeah, and you never know. So
So it was building up. There was spots of sun in the middle of it. You know, but there was storms all around. You didn't know
okay,
what it was going to do. So me and the pit boss made the decision to throw the rain tires on the 2010, put the warmers on, have it ready. If it started raining, we could switch to that bike.
okay,
It ended up not raining by the time I went on track for the first race. So I never got a chance to use the rain tires because the day got cut short after that. So I didn't use them.
so
But
essentially you get a bike that's ready to go for dry weather, slick tires, tire warmers ready to go, and a bike that's ready to go for rain weather, rain tires, tire warmers ready to go. I mean, that transition is a lot easier because you don't have to worry about like, is it going to rain? Is it not? Is it going to rain? Is it not? I got to change these tires still. I got to get these rims on, and you can put tire warmers on the stand. You got tire stands. I get all that, but definitely a lot easier to just have one of those a rain bike, and this one's a
It's a
non-rain
luxury.
bike.
It's a luxury convenience.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I never got to use the rain tires. But the reason the bikes are in the garage having an argument right now is because I had to do a back-to-back round.
Okay.
The back-to-back round, coincidentally, was a GTO round that I raced a 22 on, and the very next race is a vintage GTO where your bike has to be at least 10 years old.
Okay.
So I had to switch bikes, but I only have one transponder, so I have to change transponders. The classes are back to back, and because of the cold weather, they were really speeding things up because for the racers, they didn't want people to have to sit out there with cold tires,
Right.
or their cooling tires. So they were really trying to just kick us out there. The pit boss had done some practicing, transponder off, transponder on, timing it. We were playing NASCAR in the pits.
All right. Sweet. I like it.
We were having a good old time, man. We were some professionals. We were practicing how fast the rear stand goes on. I get off the bike, jump on the other one without Frankie Morbidelliing my knee, all those things. So the race came. We took the 22 out. We had an awesome race, siding lap. I apologize. I did not win that race, and I apologize to the winner if they were their parade lap. I had to blow them down because I was in a hurry. So,
Yeah.
so
From the race before to get out for the next one.
yeah, and sometimes at USBA, it is different at every track, right? But sometimes at USBA, the people that are hanging out in hot pits and stuff, they see that first bike come in and they're congratulating you on your win.
Yeah.
I was not the first place bike, but I was the first one down hot pit, so
You
I was
got a few of those.
I'm
Congratulations.
I'm the champion, whatever. Sorry if I stole any thunder. I'm just trying to get my bike switched.
Right.
So I get in there. I didn't really have time at the moment, but a lap record popped up for me, a personal best from that race. There was a PR.
Okay.
There was cause for celebration. I jump on the 2010. I have not drove it. This is the first time. Normally on a track day, I do at least a session on the old bike just to fill her out, make sure everything's good. I made the executive decision this time to save a perfectly good, slick, brand new tire I had on the back for this race.
With the brand new engine.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to go test it. I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to change the tires again. I'm just going to leave this perfectly good slick on there.
Okay.
I go out for the siding lap and very quickly find out that the clutch is completely out of adjustment, just the lever, So I'm fiddling with the lever. I guess just the lever. I'm trying to figure it out, but the thing ain't shifting. I'm like cramming on it with my foot. It won't shift. I mean, a little bit, but you got to cram on it. It's not functioning as it should.
Right.
And I'm fiddling around and I'm probably just making it worse. I'm going one way, I'm going the other. Nothing's making it better. Travel all around the siding lap, and then what are you? You're right on the grid, right? So I pull up to the grid and I'm still trying to fiddle with it, but the flagger's leaving. Whatever. It's good enough. I guess it's going to have to go. That was the scariest race of my career so far. I couldn't shift down consistently going into a corner. So my engine braking is out the window in particular corners. So I'm hot into almost every corner. Then then the second part of that is, so I want to be in second, but I'm rolling in third. Well, now I'm trying to come out of that corner in third when I want to be in second.
Right.
So it's just miserable. But you're in the middle of the heat of the battle, struggling with these problems.
You got to
But
figure it out.
I was fighting for the lead. And so
Okay.
I had a hell of a battle going back and forth with Mr. Arnie Wells. You remember that guy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Bagger racer from wherever. Anyway, I was battling with him in the middle of it, but I just kept going in hot. Like I tried to make a pass and I'm like, poof, shooting clear over here, then trying to fix it. It was miserable. On top of that, excuses upon excuses. On top of that, my shoulder decides it had had enough for the day. So the
Yeah.
2010 is much much harder to ride than the 22 from the standpoint of it takes more physical input to get the speeds you need out of it. I mean, you got to flog that bike a lot harder. It's got the eBay motor in it.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
eBay motor is down on some horses, my friend. I mean, it's fine, but she, you can feel it. She sure don't have what the other one has, right? So you're flogging it, you're
Yep.
beating it, you're trying to get around the track. I'm miserable, but you can't really think about those things because you're fighting for the lead.
Yeah, I mean you're racing. You're not.
You're racing. And we had I think I passed him 3 times, he passed me twice for the lead. I mean, it was awesome. It was fun. But this whole time I'm struggling with this bike thinking, please don't kill him or me or somebody. And
Yeah.
I finally get around and I win. I held it. I won. Awesome, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I roll back into the pits. This time I can really do it, right? This time it's
Mm-hmm.
really me.
Did you stand up and like?
I thought about it, but I was fiddling with the clutch.
Okay.
So so I roll back into the paddock and I look down at the timer and I have just completed a lap, a solid 10th ahead of the new bike.
On a 12-year older bike.
12-year-old bike with an eBay motor, with a clutch that's not working, with a
Yeah, that
shoulder that gave out with 3 laps to go.
coming
Let me
in.
tell you, I don't mean to complain about the shoulder. I know I talk about it on here all the time, but my shoulder, that was the first real test for it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And the 2010 I mentioned is harder to ride. Well, the pressure when you're braking hard, trying to come in, and that track is all lefts, and it's my left shoulder.
Yeah.
That track is all lefts, and so you come in and you counter steer to go into the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I lost the ability to push. I was
Eek.
like I physically couldn't push anymore, and what I realized I was doing, so I was using my inside leg to hold the bike up.
Okay.
You're supposed to put your knee out, right?
Yeah.
I'm holding it against the bike. I'm using it to take pressure off my arm to help hold the bike up. And I realized, I mean, I almost pulled off with 2 to go. I almost pulled off. And then I was like, I'm sitting there in the helmet going, you're in the lead, man.
Yeah. You can't give
You
that
can't
up.
pull off. You're in the lead. So anyway, that was the last race of the day for me. I actually sat out the races after that because I had got the ones that were the most important to me taken care of at that point, and I needed to make sure I had something for Sunday, which turns out I didn't need. But
Yeah. The weather took care of that one for you.
yeah, so I kept, I tend to talk to my bikes. You
Mm-hmm.
know, bikes have feelings too, and so I kept chastising the new one, going, "Look, you see this tent? You see this tent here in the paddock? That bike right there's faster than you. That bike just beat you. You guys need to work it out." So they're in the garage right now working it out. So there's some shame on the new bike right now.
Ooh. All
And the
right.
weather was so cold on Sunday, she didn't really get the shot to redeem herself.
Yeah. Well, when does she get the shot? When's our next round?
Memorial Day weekend, USBA round 2.
May 25th and 26th. Sweet. Let me pull up my calendar because I forget what day it actually is. All right. So you got 2 weeks. Good deal. So next week we'll have MotoGP. The week after that we'll have Moto America back again. And the week after that we'll be back for round 2 USBA. See if the 2022 gets a redemption or not.
And I mean, yeah, and I do need your help with something.
Me or the
Yeah,
audience?
you,
Okay.
Easton.
What do we got?
I had a little bit of shame. I had a little bit of shaming going on. So my friend on a BMW,
Mm-hmm.
my new friend on the BMW, he said, "I'm cool, you're cool because we're BMW friends, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be at Barber,
Okay.
and we're going to be at Barber,
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
and we're going to be riding at Barber on the track day after the Moto America boys, right?
Indeed, we will. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I told him, I said, "Hey, looking forward to seeing you at Barber," and he said, "Yep." And I said, "I'll be on my Gixxer," and
Okay.
he said, "Hey man, I thought you were cool."
Ooh.
And I said, "What's that supposed to mean?" And he says, "I didn't know you rode a Gixxer. We're not
Whoa.
even cool anymore. I thought you was a BMW guy." So What am I going to do with that? I told him
Well, it's
it's my
only
Utah
the
bike.
it's a 2009 Gixxer 750, only one of the greatest bikes ever built. I mean, you can ask anyone from 2008 to 2010, the 600 and 750 body style were the best looking bikes in the world. And the 750 just happened to have another 40 horse, 30, 40 horse on the 600, but it
Well,
weighed just as much as a 600.
well,
And
just so you know,
you
just
seen
so
what that
you
thing can do.
just so you know, I'm going to introduce you to this gentleman when we get to Barber, and you two can work it out.
All right. Well,
I ain't
I'll
losing my man card over this 750.
I'll take care of it. You don't worry about that at all. We'll line up on the straight. Is he more your stature or my stature?
Uh, More my stature.
We'll line it up on the straight. We'll see what happens. Because I happen to have a little experience of someone on an S1000 and someone on my Gixxer 750, and it's
Uh,
just weird how it works out.
so I would argue I would just to make sure you're clear though he did have approximately 4.5 5 seconds on me.
I'm sure he's way faster than I am.
I'm just saying.
But if we line it up, and I'm not trying to say that I could outrace this guy any day of the week, but if we lined it up, I'm just saying that the 750 might surprise you just a little bit. That's all I'm trying to say.
All right,
But we'll
all right.
see you out there. We'll have a great time. It'll be good.
This is gonna be fun.
All right. Well, hey, does that wrap up USBA? Is that everything from the weekend? We're looking forward to 2 weeks from now. 3 weeks from now.
Yep,
Round two.
I think so. Nobody wants to hear more of my ramblings about USBA.
All right. Well, hey, round two should be the first official round back on the East track. Where?
No,
No? Okay, never
we,
mind. Oh, no, it does say West. Round one was East.
yeah, we just did the East, and okay, now you've opened it up. We just
Oh,
did the
I
East,
completely missed all of that.
so now okay, back into the
I had
USBA.
it so backwards. I thought we were doing round one on the West because that's what everyone knew. Then we were headed to the East, but you mentioned it. Now I just looked at the schedule. You're right.
Okay, so the golden rule, we had some questions about not being on the East for so long, right?
Yeah.
The golden rule is 4 seconds difference.
So the East track is 4 seconds slower or faster.
4 seconds slower.
Okay.
So they're approximately the same length, but because of the shape and everything else, right? It doesn't really matter what classification you're in, but a consistent lap on one track versus the other is 4 seconds across the board. That's kind of the golden rule that everybody follows.
Yeah. Okay.
It took me most of the weekend. But I absolutely landed at the 4 second, almost exactly 4 seconds difference. So my math says I'm as fast on the West as I am on the East, and vice versa now at this point.
So
And at the end of the day, they just both need to get faster.
okay, that's fair. I won't dive into that too much. I just real quick. Are you curious to know? Are you actually faster now on the West after going on the East? Did they
Oh,
kind of realize some stuff, or you think it's just that's where it's at?
I think I'm always going to be faster, right? Every time I go out, I have a window.
Yeah. Yep.
People, no, I mean, people listening will know what I'm talking about. There's a window, and I have to keep within the window. The problem is the guys at the bottom of that window, they don't have anywhere else to go
Okay.
or as far to go, right?
Yeah.
They're already setting land speed world track record pace. So I just got to get closer. But I've managed to stay within my window.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, I look forward to 3 weeks from now back on the West. We'll see how it turns out. Hopefully, the weather's a little better. And if that's going to close up our club racing, since we covered club racing, now it's time for us to cover our what's the other stuff that we cover? Great entertainment, of course,
Motor.
and racing news. Current bike and racing news, I think, is what we're about to get into here. If you're ready for that,
I'm ready.
Mr. Cole. I have a funny story about what we're about to talk about. I was alluded to this prior to by some random Instagram channel, and I didn't actually believe it until right before this episode. Just for those in the audience, we do talk a little bit before the episodes. I'll let you know a little bit of the background. We talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about and everything else. And we decided, hey, we cover bike news, racing news, news in general. We got to cover this. This is pretty big. I didn't realize it was actually news. I thought it was made up, Instagram, clickbait, whatever you want to call it. But this is actual news. So we figured we would cover it. And we are talking about the fact that MotoGP has put out some official changes that we can't expect to see in 2027. And this is straight off of MotoGP.com. So this is not from, I'm not going to pull my information tonight from any other website or any random news company or anything like that. This is straight off the MotoGP website.
Or the robot voice on YouTube.
Yeah, but not copying or we're not doing that. There are some changes for 2027. Some of them we've kind of talked about, people have alluded to. It is crazy to me how much people do know before MotoGP actually announces something. Like it's kind of insane that we get all of these rumors and we're like, well, they're just rumors, so we don't want to put them out. And then 2 weeks later, we're like, all right, yeah, it wasn't a rumor. Here we are. But the first thing I'll just read down the list of the big things, then we can kind of dive into whatever. But
Well, let's start one at a time.
okay, all right. Well, the big one, and the one that everyone kind of knew and has been talked about probably more than anything is just engine size.
Boo.
Yeah,
Sorry. I don't like it.
I'm not a fan. I get it. I don't. If you haven't listened to our past episodes, if you're new here, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you're here on YouTube. If you're not here on YouTube, go check out our YouTube channel at Working Class Customs. Also, go follow us on Instagram at JKMoto Podcast. But also, if you're on YouTube, you don't want to be, and we're 40 minutes or so in so far after editing. Who knows what it'll be? But if you don't want to just sit here and watch for the rest of this, go ahead and kick over to your favorite podcast channel. Click follow on there. You can just listen. You don't have to watch. But we talked about it before. MotoGP is going down to 850 cc's. This is official. This is to limit the top speeds, making the sport safer, increase the mileage, making it more efficient and sustainable. So they're reducing their bore size from 81 to 75 millimeters, and then their total engine capacity from 1,000 to 850 cc's.
So there's a lot of people on the social media channels that are blaming Liberty Media
Yeah.
for this.
Mm-hmm.
This has nothing to do with them.
This was all in the works well before Liberty Media bought out. And I believe right now, the way it stands, the way I've read it, and I can't 100% guarantee this, but if you want to talk about Liberty Media taking over and you want to talk negative and whatever else, when I was reading through the contracts and reading through the updates and all of that, everything that I read said that Liberty Media bought in, and as of right now are just kind of back here. They're just hanging out. They're giving money and collecting profits and letting Dorna do Dorna.
Well, I don't even think anything takes effect yet. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's not like they just stepped in and said, this is what you're doing, 850cc bikes, bam. And then everybody in the world goes, screw America, they're ruining our sport.
Yeah, so I definitely pretty sure Dorna's been working on this for a while. I don't think it's just Dorna either. I think the manufacturers definitely probably had a pretty heavy hand in that, saying, hey, this is what we want to work with, or this is what we can. There's no way that the racetracks weren't involved. The different safety regulations. There's a lot bigger. I mean, you look, it's 2024 right now. It's 3 years before this actually takes effect, and we already know what it's going to be. It's been years in the making, right? This isn't just over the weekend. Liberty Media was like, oh, yeah, hey, you need smaller bikes, 850 cc's. That's what it's going to be. So
I'm going to do a branch.
Oh, boy. Not back to the branches. Do you know how many times we said branch last week?
A lot.
Yeah.
So this is related branch.
Okay.
So while we're on that part right there.
A fork in the road.
A fork in the road. What say you? So one of the things I thought about, one of the things I daydreamed about was if you're Honda and in 2027 everything's changing, do you just abandon ship and say run what we brung until 2027 and then let's come out with a good bike? Because they're dumping millions into trying to catch up. Millions and millions.
Yeah, so
How
that's
does that affect?
difficult. I don't know because what are they allowed to test right now?
I don't know, but Ducati's at the top, right? Do they just coast to 2027?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want the audience's opinion on that, and I'm not just saying that to like get you guys to comment. I actually mean that. I kind of want your guys' opinion because I have no idea. My head can go a dozen different ways on this. One that yeah, 100%. Why would Honda waste any more money? Like, let's just hold out. Let's focus all our attention towards the 850. But is there a limit saying nope, no work can be done, no preparations can be made until 2026 season is wrapped up and we're at our first test? Will we see those 850cc engines in the first time in 2026, right? That November test, the end of the year, should be when
No.
we first see them. Are we going to see zebra bikes out on the track before then?
Well, Yamaha, there's all the rumors always going around about them finally switching to a V4. They're not going to do that now. I mean, I don't know what the 850cc motor is, but there sure ain't going to be a 1000cc V4. Why?
There shouldn't be. No.
No reason to switch now. So I would assume they'll coast with what they got, get the best out of what it is, and then bring something new to the table.
Yeah. So it's I don't it's wild. To make that big of an engine change and to go down, I believe, back me up, this is the first time that we've ever gone down.
Well, we did have a 800cc era,
Yeah, but
but
did
that
we
was
ever jump backward in time?
yeah.
Now, the other
No.
the other interesting thing is that they're not putting a top speed limit as of yet, right? So this is supposed to limit your top speed having an 850cc engine, but they haven't come out and said that we are limiting top speed. And in my opinion, engineers being engineers, men being men, boys being boys, whatever it might be, and girls, yeah, whatever people in general, we talked about this last week. We chase speed. Everything's a race, right? We race to space, we race to whatever it might be. Is this really going to change the top speed of the bikes?
No, that's been one of the discussions for sure. Is they're going to have to maybe carry more corner speed now in order to because they don't have the power to pull back out of the corner. So
Yeah.
we're going to have higher corner speeds, similar lap times in the end.
Yeah, it's just kind of wild, and I think my biggest issue with it, with all of it in general, the engine size going down feels like, and saying this is to limit the top speed to make it safer, feels like a step in the wrong direction for racing. If you want to make it safer, make the racetrack safer, make the
Well,
gear safer, make the safety higher. We've been chasing speed our entire lives. Lap records get broken every year, right? And it's always, oh my goodness, we broke it again. How could we break it? How can we get faster? We managed to do that, and we continue to do that. Why are we taking a step in the opposite direction now? But there's the other side of it of you want to be competitive, you want to enjoy the sport, you don't want to just be whoever's got the fastest bike is the guy, all those things. So I can see both sides. Anyway,
well, the other problem is maybe I'm off base here too, but in my mind, I watch World Superbike because those guys race a bike that I could drive, even though in reality, those bikes are quite expensive as well.
yeah,
But
they're super bikes, but they're based off of something you physically own, right? You have an S1000.
yep. But I watch MotoGP to see like the crazy futuristic magic that might trickle down.
Yeah, to see what I specifically don't ever want to see on my street bike, but man, it's kind of cool. It's
Right.
dumb. It looks like a freaking dinosaur tail on the back of that thing, but it's kind of cool at the same time.
So let's talk about the dinosaur tails next.
Okay.
If you're gonna get rid of something, get rid of them ugly tails. But no.
Nope. Nope. So aerodynamics, once again, we are quoting everything right off of MotoGP.com. I'm not pulling up any other articles, but they say aerodynamics will be reduced and more tightly controlled in 2027 with the aim of minimizing the negative effects. The width of the top of the front fairing will be 50 mil narrower, and the nose will be pushed back 50 mil, reducing the effective aero where it matters on the straights and the braking areas. And this will create even closer racing with even more overtaking. But if you look at the bike that they literally have showing what it'll look like, they're like, yeah, okay, so we took the bike and we made it a little bit skinnier and we pushed the nose. If this is the length of the bike now, we made the nose go whoop. And that's it. That's the only change we made. Meanwhile, ride height and whole shot devices are gone.
And let me chime in on that.
Go for it.
So, ride height device, me personally, I know everybody has opinions, but for me personally, ride height devices gone. Fine. I got no problem with that. But as a guy that was club racing and doing an excellent job of launching, might I add,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that trickled down. That's something that is on my S1000RR, and I love it.
Yeah, the launch control.
Yes.
So I would much rather they say clear the freaking arrow out of here and leave all the electronic ride height and whole shot devices 100%, because a couple years ago I saw a test between a Moto e-bike, which should be the fastest of the fast electric bikes, and everyone knows electric motors are the best of the world at producing torque because they have max torque all at once. There's no rev up and hit the torque at whatever RPM. It's all the torque from the get-go, right? So if you're going to drag race something, it better be an electric motor because that's where it's at, right? Scientifically. Then he put this Moto E bike up against a MotoGP bike, and the Moto E bike looked as if it was a freaking 250cc bike standing next to that stupid freaking thing. And here goes this Ducati taking off down the straight, and it was in that moment because I saw this like title of the video, and I was like, oh boy, this is not good, right? This is my people. The internal combustion engine. This is my people, your people, our people, the people that listen to this
Combustion.
podcast, right? That's what we're all about. Internal combustion is about to lose, and this is a big deal. That's literally where my mind was. And they line up on the straight, the lights turn red, the lights go out, both bikes take off, and from the get, there wasn't even the instant torque. This is going to take off first. No, from the get, that gasoline engine had that freaking thing all the way down and only ever gained on it. And I was like, boys, we are still in business. We have nothing to worry about for a long time. So to see those whole shot devices taken out is kind of like a little scary to me because, yeah, I mean, watching Brad Bender come from 15th all the way up to freaking first in the first corner or whatever it actually was last year, not to misquote, but it
Yeah.
was
Well,
nuts.
devil's advocate, you could argue that it's going to be more exciting if you take it out of the hands of the electronics, you make the rider be the guy to beat the guy, that can launch the bike the best, all those things. But I don't have a problem with the launch control on the bikes. I think it's awesome. I like seeing them jet out of there. And
Yeah,
we still get the wheelies. We still get the guys going the wrong way. We still get all the
yeah.
I
It's just gonna be some big changes. You've seen like MotoGP has kind of had like no rules, no hold, no nothing for a long time. And now they're finally, I mean, this is what we wanted, right? A lot of people wanted like, hey, put some freaking rules on this before it turns into F1. Now we got some rules. Is it really what everyone was looking for? I don't know. Not here to make an opinion for you. Just here to give you our opinions and let you kind of chew on that. But um so that's engine size, aerodynamics, ride height, whole shot. A couple other interesting things. GPS data from all riders will be available to all teams after each session. So it says providing data to all competitors offers better opportunity to progress for the less performing teams and riders and at a controlled cost. Access to this range of data will help make the sport safer and will also increase the level of insight available to fans around the world. So you won't I don't know for sure, but it just kind of makes it sound like, if Yamaha wants to look at, well, what is Ducati doing at this point, they're going to be able to see that.
I think the argument there, right, is that Ducati's got 8 bikes, so they're all sharing
Hmm.
everything, and now the team that only has one bike on the grid will be able to have access to some of that same information to bring everybody closer together.
Yeah, which is the whole goal. At each one of these, at the end, they're like, for instance, let's see, this will create even closer racing with even more overtaking, right? More control costs. It's aimed at increasing their ability to overtake, more available to the fans. It's all supposed to play into you, to us, to the fans that watch, make it a little bit more exciting. And then the crazy part is that if you look at MotoGP compared to racing cars or whatever other sport, MotoGP, even as it sits right now, is still one of the most exciting sports of all time, in my opinion. There's not a shortage of overtaking. We've talked about, the meat and potatoes in the middle of the race can get a little dry at times, and tire management seems to be a bigger talk than it used to be. Maybe not. Maybe I'm making that up because I'm more in tune with it. I don't know. That's their goal. Who knows? We want to hear you guys' thoughts, everyone's thoughts on that. Let us know what you think. You can go look it up. Literally, I didn't even get on MotoGP's website at first. I just Googled MotoGP 2027 news, and it's the first shot, right? Check out their website, check out everyone else's articles, formulate an opinion. Let us know what you got. I'm kind of curious. And then I think we'll keep talking about it throughout the rest of this season. And obviously, we have a couple years before this takes place. We got three seasons, the rest of this year, 25 and 26, before this happens. So, got plenty of time to kind of speculate and see. But the biggest question I have is, and I think everyone has, is how is this going to translate down to the street? Will we see changes in street bikes? Will we see changes in World Superbike? Is it truly the end of an era of leader bikes all around the
Yeah.
world?
So let me something else I just thought of. I don't know the answer to this, but something I just thought of. So we have concessions now.
True. Yeah.
So my understanding with concessions is they could basically bring any bike they want to a test or a wild card. They can do all kinds of changes.
Hmm.
Them concessions going to help them get their hands on an 850 on track in earlier than other teams.
Maybe. I don't know. The concessions reads really weird. Current concession system introduced at the end of the 2023 season will continue. So what we saw from last year, where Yamaha and Honda, right, they can test more often, whatever else. But as the new technical regulations come into force in 2027, all manufacturers will start the season in rank B. So in 2027, all manufacturers will start in the same rank. You'll then be assessed again mid-season in the summer of 2027 and can change rank up or down to have access to more or less concessions. This reactive system means manufacturers' performance is taken into account from day one, keeping the playing field as close as possible as a new era begins. So that doesn't necessarily answer your question at all. Um, but
It does going forward, but not the lead up.
I would assume that, I don't know. We got 3 years, and I want to say that MotoGP will say, nope, no testing until end of 2026. We don't want to see these bikes at all. But then, like, you really expect a team to just build a completely brand new bike with zero testing?
No.
So are all the private testing days? That's what I feel like we're going to see a few Zebra bikes starting to pop up. My prediction would be halfway through 2025. We start to see like some private testing days and some Zebra bikes popping up around random
You got it. They
whatever.
got to be. Yeah. Everybody's going to be trying to get ahead of the game any way they can.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you show up just brand new bike end of 2026. Like, yeah, hey, we don't even know if this thing will actually start.
BMW's already building theirs, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, and that's the sad part too, though, is that BMW is not going to show up until 2027. Suzuki's probably not. Like, if they were coming back, they ain't coming back now until 2027.
Yeah, nobody's going to
You're
buy.
you're almost 100% correct that like Yamaha and Honda will just probably focus most of their world around aero. And here's a question for you: do you have to be 1,000 cc's right now?
You have to have a homologated setup.
So could
They
Honda
have to,
build an 850cc engine right now and just start racing that and be like, well, yeah, we're slow because we're working on 2027 bike?
yeah. Well, no, because that's one of the other features that I don't think we talked about. They're What's the limit on how many motors?
So they took it down from 7 to 6 engines per season.
So, I mean, those engines are all built before the season starts.
Yeah.
So they would. What you just said is probably not going to happen
No.
but it's a fun idea because they'd probably be faster.
Yeah,
Maybe
who
they should
knows?
race a Gixxer 750.
There you go. That's all you need. 1985 Suzuki GS XR 750. Speaking of 750s, if you haven't checked it out yet, I know we talked about it a little bit, I think, on the podcast here, but we did just introduce the ZX7, not R, that we have in the stable over the compound now. So go check out the introduction video to that, and we should be getting some more content out on that throughout the year. We'll take her to the track maybe later this year.
Oh, not maybe. We're taking her to the track.
After watching your video, you look at those air ducts from the side, and I was like, yeah, no, those are cool looking. And then you mentioned it in the video, and I was like, you're right. How do your arms
Yeah, you
go
have to go
around those
inside.
things?
You have to go inside them.
You cross them like this, and you're riding.
So,
Well,
so obviously,
you want to talk about aero being a new thing, dude? There's a freaking spoiler on the back of that bike. So aero's been around forever, but anyway.
so I mean, you mentioned it. So I haven't got to drive the bike yet, as you know, but
Mhm.
just sitting in the garage, trying to kick your body off or whatever, and lay your arm against the tank. They're
Mhm.
absolutely in the way. But obviously, people race those bikes back in the day, so you like asking for comments. Some people that club race period, you know.
Our ZX7 and ZX7R owners of the past. Let
Now
us
we're
know. Let us know so we don't look like total newbies going into it.
was
How the
it
frick do you
common?
get around those air intakes?
Yeah, for all I know, people took them off, threw them in the garbage, and put a cap on top of them. I don't know. What say you people?
Yeah, let us know. Anyway, if you don't have anything else, Cole, I think that's
No,
gonna
I
wrap
think
us
we're
up for
good.
the week. Yeah, so that was USBA round one in the snow, the rain, the ice, the cold, the whatever it might be. Some MotoGP news for you to chew on and think about. Let us know what you think about that down in the comments, and a little bit of look into the future of JKMoto podcast and MotoGP and maybe USBA for what to expect throughout the rest of this year. We appreciate y'all for listening, watching, whatever it might be. Once again, click the subscribe button. We appreciate your support, and we will see you next week.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.